Well, we have a beautiful leftover piece of pork belly that was left over because we wanted to do spare ribs and baby back ribs, but they're very difficult to find here in Greece in the butchers. So we bought a whole side of pig and we cut it out ourselves. You can see here the shape.
That's our thing to buy, big piece of meat.
And then cut it. Anyway, here you see the shape of the spare ribs we cut out. And by the way, there's a link down below to an episode how to cook those to perfection. But then we thought, what do we do with this? Because this is skinless, so we cannot make porchetta.
Which we will do definitely in a coming up episode.
For sure we're going to do that. The thing with porchetta is that then you have a thick layer of fat and then the skin. And then when you roll it up, then you have to cook it really low and slow to render out the fat. With the roulade, we can do it a little bit quicker. It does have fat, but it's not nearly as much as if you have the skin on. But the thick end here, we want to score the meat a little bit so we get some flavors into the meat. So don't cut too deep, but give it some cross-section cuts here to give us the ability to put in some salt and some pepper for the beginning. When you have a nice crisscross pattern like this, we are going to season that and we are going to be quite generous. When all this comes together, it's a big piece of meat. And if there's one thing you need with pork with a little bit of fat in it, it's salt. Give it a good coating here.
Actually, I never tried before roulade in a savory version, only in sweets and desserts, you know.
I have tried it once, but I can't even remember where it was because it was while traveling, but I have tried it. So, a good layer of salt. Give it a good rub here where we made the scores. Need a little bit more over here, I can see. We're going to sprinkle over some freshly cracked black pepper. And you want to be using a shaker here so you don't get over-seasoned some parts because then it becomes too peppery. And I know you don't like that, love.
Yeah, it has to be in the right amount. So don't overdo it.
I'm not doing that. This is a big chunk of meat. That looks beautiful to me. Now I'm going to put this in the fridge uncovered while we prepare the stuffing. And this will be allowed to sweat out a little bit. The first component of our stuffing is some brown button mushrooms that we have cut up in some slices about that thick. Obviously we rinse them first so they are clean without soil. We're going to put them in a pan with a little bit of oil, just like that. And then I'm going to put them behind me on the stove and let them start to sweat out so we can get some of the water out of them. We want them to release the water so we only get the mushroom flavor. And while they are having their time there on the pan, we are going to continue with a herb paste. And we are using fresh herbs today. And one of the components here is parsley. It's the easy part. We just take off the stems, cut the other in two, and we stuff it in our food processor. So that's pretty easy. Then we're going to continue with some rosemary. Just clean off some stems here, and there are no measurements here. You can go as crazy as you want on the flavors that you prefer. I like rosemary. That was 3 sprigs I think I put there. I think I'll put one more maybe. I don't either want to overpower it with rosemary. And then we're going to go in with some fresh oregano. Beautiful fresh oregano. Oh, it's so nice. Beautiful. And it gives so much flavor and so much better than dry actually. And you don't have to worry if you get a little bit of the stems in here because we are going to blend this to a smooth paste. So just do this quick.
That's so aromatic.
It comes all the way to you, yeah. I'm sure. Thyme, which again in Greece we would call thimari, but we've been through that with one of our subscribers. So what do you say, 3, 4?
It's a big piece of meat also, so you want the aromatics. It won't overpower anything.
Oh, no, it won't. That's true. It won't.
That's also very aromatic.
As I said before, it doesn't matter. There are no exact measurements here. Then we're going in with 4 cloves of garlic. We want quite some garlic in this. And then I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of freshly ground fennel seeds. I took it to the mortar and pestle. I didn't want to bore you with listening to that. But I'll put that in the paste and not directly on the meat. And then we're going to blitz that. And when things start coming together like that, then we're going to let it go a little bit slow. And then we're going to stream in some olive oil.
You want it more creamy?
Yeah, I want that like a paste so it sticks properly to the meat when I start spreading it. I think that does it. What was that? Again, no exact measurements here. Ooh, that smells fantastic. Now, all I want to do is scrape that down and get it out of there, and then we will continue with the mushrooms. And when our mushrooms, they have shrunk and you only have a little bit of water left on the pan, then we're going to kill the heat because we don't want to take them too far so they overcook. The rest has to be in the meat, but now there's very little moisture left, so they're perfect for stuffing. So we can move on with our meat. Out of the fridge, ready to get some tender love and care. First thing we're going to do before we add anything on top of this is nutmeg. And this is actually inspired by porchetta, so I don't think you want to go too heavy on the nutmeg. It's not bechamel we're making here, but we can give it half a nut maybe, I would say. You also want to taste it.
Yeah, it has to go everywhere.
I think that about does it. What do you say? Mm-hmm. It looks dusty and nice. Then we have a lot of things we have to go through here, so if I forget anything or do it in the wrong order, then you have to help me.
Camera woman will remind you.
But on top of this, I want to add our beautiful paste. And I'll see if I can do it like with a spatula, otherwise I have a brush also.
You will need maybe the brush, I don't know.
I think I will.
Yep.
The thing about this is that you don't want to make either too ginormous thick a layer of this because it's super flavored. I mean, it has so much flavor in this. And when you have like this, a nice even coating of this, looking good. And man, that smells good. I mean, it's really, really super flavorful. I think the next up is the lemon zest, right?
Okay.
We're going to take some lemons from our own orchard. Again, totally biological, no pesticides, nothing. And we want to microplane some zest here. And be careful only to take the yellow part. We don't want any of the bitter whiteness here from the inside of the peel. We only want the zest.
But that will give some freshness.
Yeah, and we want quite a lot of it actually.
The aroma.
I mean, lemon zest is 10 times the flavor you can get out of lemon juice, or if you juice a lemon, it's like... But you want a lot here. You don't want to go low on that. It's really a big flavor profile in this recipe. Yeah, I think this does it.
Yeah.
So, now we have pine seeds, yes. Mm-hmm. Roasted pine seeds that we are going to spread over top. That will give some nice flavors and textures to this. I love pine seeds, actually also in salads. They've just been roasted a couple of minutes on a pan so that they release a little bit their essential oils and get slightly toasty. Don't roast them too far. But these flavors is going to be really, really good. Let me just spread the rest here.
Spread the love.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Perfect. And then we are going to go... Yeah, I think mushrooms before the cheese, actually. I think you're right on that. So, we take our mushrooms. Just get them out there. You see that all the water is basically gone here. There is a few drops left.
Yeah, you don't want to moist the meat inside, no?
The moisture we want here comes from the fat that we're going to render out. Let me spread this evenly here. That looks sort of good. This is going to be some roulade. Already loving this recipe. And last but not least, some grated Parmesan.
Bring some cheese there to melt nicely.
Yeah, I think this is going to be good. The next step is going to be a little bit messy, and that's the rolling.
Yeah, that seems tough. Tough job.
Yeah, but I think because it's a long piece of meat, I've seen many recipes where they do it and then they have like a square piece of meat where you only get it, not really rolled, but just like you fold it. Then it's difficult. But I think this will work okay. Last bit here. And then you have to get your hands into it and start rolling. And we take it from the thick meat end. We want the meat in the middle of the roulade so that we render out the fat from the other end.
Ooh, nice.
That was actually easier than I expected.
Yeah.
And now we have to tie it up. So butcher's twine. And we get in there, and I'm thinking 5 on this length. And tie it nice and tight. And if you're not familiar with the butcher's knot, it's a regular beginning of one knot and then one more turn, because then it locks itself and you don't have to have somebody putting their finger. We're going to do it on a rotisserie on our gas grill. If you don't have that, then you can put this on a baking tray on a rack, and then you cook it low and slow there. But if you have a rotisserie, you get a better presentation at the end of this. I know that my rotisserie is the middle of, let me turn it the right way. Here's the middle of the grill. So that means that this is the middle. Then I want to put these babies here and tighten that one up so I get sort of catching the middle. And then we will try to catch straight in the middle of this all the way through and see if that doesn't look right. And then in with those, help it a little bit and arrange it. And we put the other one, stuff it in there. There we go. And now this is ready for the grill. And let's get it into the rotisserie and see if I hit the middle. Okay, almost the middle, more or less. And for beginners here, I have 2 burners running on medium because I want it to come up to temperature slowly. We might adjust that as we go along. As you can see, I've taken out the grill grate and then just put a drip tray on top of the heat deflectors here, so I have space enough for the roast. A little more than half an hour in, so let's give it an initial check here. Oh, that's looking good. And the temperature here in the room is running at around 160, 150, 160 degrees, which is perfect. And just for you to know, I forgot to tell you before, we poured in a can of beer just so that the fat drippings, they don't burn until we have a layer of fat in the pan. But now it's perfect, and you see how it starts rendering out fat already from the surface. Now we can let this go for at least an hour more before we check in on it, maybe an hour and a half. Another hour passed by, so let's have a look. It definitely smells good, and it's starting to get some browning. I'm not sure.
That looks promising.
Absolutely. Let me just switch it off for a sec, and then let's get a bearing on where we are temperature-wise right now. Sort of in the center there. At 53, that needs some ways to go here. 48, okay. But I'm gonna add our Armator 1 thermometer here to the thickest part over here. See if I can get it in there. Nice, in there. And then we see here what we are getting. Yeah, and it measures the same as I got, 48 degrees, 47. And then we're gonna let that go for, and definitely that will take another hour, that's for sure. But looking good. 1.5 hours more, and it's starting to smell divine here. I mean, if you like pork, then you're gonna be so hungry just by the smell. We should invent smell-o-vision. Yeah. And then have a look at that beauty. Ooh. Just see, behold the roulade. Let's switch this off so I can get, I'm actually not looking so much for temperature as I am for feeling. So we are there, 91, 92, we are climbing into, oh, this is perfect. 93, we don't want to go into pulled pork territory here. So I'm gonna call it, it's gonna carry over a couple of degrees more, and it's nice and soft, but it still has a little bit of bite to it, which you want in the meat.
A small resistance.
Nah. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna kill the heat, and then because it's still dripping, we are actually gonna hang out here to cool down a little bit to good even temperature, and then we will be back for reveal and taste. Well, that certainly looks amazing, and now it's cooled down, so can actually touch it. It looks really good. So let's see how we did. The moment of truth.
It looks impressive on the outside.
And if that is not a perfect roulade swirl, I don't know what is. Take a look at that.
Ooh.
Fantastic. And it smells fantastic, and it's so juicy. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but it is like super juicy. So let me cut off a piece here. Nice with mushroom, pine seeds, our nice paste, the whole thing. This is going to be a nice, big, good, juicy bite. That's absolutely fantastic. I don't think you can use a pork belly for anything better than this. And we have made bacon on 2 other episodes, and pepper bacon is fantastic. There's a link down below how to make that. But this, rendering out the fat slowly over 3 hours on the grill.
And it's tender, huh?
It's tender. It's not pulled pork, but super tender, super juicy. This is a roast that will definitely amaze your guests at any dinner party. Give this a shot.